Alright, so it turns out I made a bit of a mistake. Can happen to anyone. And this is the Ryu. How many factory switches does it take it to screw in a game win? Not the other one. That one was just factory counters factory counters factory. But this time around we've got a pro 1v1 host between, in the red, Fahx with the heavy Fahx machine and a Claymore blueprint, since they're playing hovercraft, versus in the blue, finally, steel blue in the blue, with cloakbots and an engineer commander with Ronin as their blueprint. Cloakbots for them. Of course, both players with the high ground wind generators for an 0.8 wind floor, always nice. On a skate park, the map where you've got a lot of like graffiti names from a lot of great players, some of who are well, on a bit of a hiatus, I'd say, but still doesn't really matter. We've got a hovers versus cloakbots. Interesting matchup for sure. Don't think I've ever seen hovers on this map before, at least not in a 1v1. I don't think so. Where, well, hovers with daggers, high alpha damage, so like 3-shot glaives, just barely 3-shot, or like barely don't 2-shot. Also with a piercing weapon on that gauss turret, whereas the glaives high regen, so if they can do some damage and get away, they'll heal it all back up, and of course are with high DPS. So they like to just move in, kill your quill, and go home as if nothing ever happened. But there it goes, already one sniped. Glaives, of course, daggers slightly faster, or like faster than glaives are, so we're able to catch up. And hovers also struggle quite a bit on these hills. Of course, being vehicles, but like especially hovers are not the greatest. Whereas at the same time, the cloakbots don't really care about these hills. They do still care about this slope, but not these slightly shallower slopes. Quite a couple of early reavers coming out from steel blue already. Quite defensive. Normally that of course gives up a bit of map control. But Fahx not really able to take advantage of that for now at least. Both still with approximately the same amount of expansion. I mean, Max over here was of course sniped along with the quill. But at the same time, the Conjurer from Steel Blue. Okay, I was about to say, with a massive radar shadow. But it just barely doesn't have a radar shadow. Only now going to get that max up. So apparently, like, it comes out of the tippy top for radar. Sure thing. Anyways, over here, glaives moving in. Getting at least a 1 dagger cleaned up. And of course, something I didn't really mention, but because of that pierce through, you want to have your glaives spread out when engaging daggers, just so the piercing doesn't really hit many of your units. Only hits 1, maybe 2. And of course, when they're up close, they will damage them very quickly, since of course daggers also quite low HP. Not quite as low HP as the glaives themselves, but still. Going down very, very quickly. Mace is now out on the field. Double mace already, going for scalpel mace. Scalpel mace indeed. Quite heavy on the mace, I feel, for a scalpel mace setup. Going 1-to-1 between your skirm and your riot. Feel like that's maybe a little bit too riot heavy, but hey, we'll see how well they do. Mace is of course a great riot. Outskirms the enemy riot, so especially in this matchup it's not that bad. Also, the range difference between Mace and Ronin isn't that large either. Not completely sure what the range is on these, so that is 455 versus 345. That is actually a bigger difference than I thought. Might just be that when the Mace is running away, is trying to skirm the skirm, it is able to work. Not really sure. In my mind, of course, for some reason, the Ronin versus Mace matchup always seems a little bit weird. in that Mace likes to outscrim. Or barely doesn't outscrim. Anyways, Mace over here should once again be able to clean up a couple of Reavers if they decide to engage. But, well, Reavers closing in the distance, all of a sudden, with 2 of them dealing damage, then the Mace does get cleaned up. Reaver pretty decent HP and also 270 DPS themselves. Also, quite nice amount of reclaim, 700 reclaim there, Quill right there as well, so should be able to get that quite easily. But now, Steel Blue's eco slightly ahead, bit more overdrive from them, with 98% wind and quite a lot in the back. But of course, once that wind drops, because we know that it will, all of a sudden that overdrive will be gone, and then it is likely Fahx with the better eco. They should have the better eco. Just looking at the number of mexes they've constructed and all that, Fahx really should have the better eco. Right. Also, pretty exposed eco from Steel Blue. Of course, daggers with that, because they don't have a lot of DPS, are not that good raiders, at least not in low quantities. And Scalpel there, getting caught out. Right. I mean, they only have like 220 alpha damage. Max is of course 560, so it takes 6 shots from dagger. And like the reloaded on these is like, yeah, 2.8 seconds. So you're sitting at 1 max with the 2 of them for like 7 seconds. 6 seconds. Because you can get the first shot off and only have to reload twice. In order to take it down. So yeah, not exactly the fastest raiders in that regard. And for Steel Blue, for now, a raid of a Riot Skirm as well. With Reaver Ronin. And yeah, Mace not able to dodge all that well. I mean, the rockets aren't exactly quick, but also Mace is hover, and hover doesn't have the best turning circle ever. One of the many problems people often have with Scalpel, that it just likes to turn around, but then by doing so run into the enemy fire. And Mace definitely not outskirming these. Right, well, what's the reclaim looking like? Well, still quite a lot over here. That Fahx is getting. And the last couple of Cloakbots over here. Seeming like not able to do all that much damage. Is force firing the ground. Sneaky Steel Blue. Force firing in order to take down the Lotus without actually getting in range. Using the little bit of AoE. And oh, Quill, 17 HP, but it does survive. But still, even though they don't have a lot of DPS, I mean, without any units from Steel Blue coming in to actually take down these daggers, yeah, they can still do damage. On the northern side, double mace, just a single scalpel for now. I mean, scalpel on a little bit of a ball like this could be nice, but not going to happen anytime soon. Units are all pretty spread out. Daggers are just running in one by one. Not exactly what you want against the Reaver. But still, Fahx's eco is better. Scythe, I don't know. Didn't really need to engage, I feel. But I will. Over here also, Phantom is up. Phantom, of course, is very nice. It is able to one-shot Mace. And, of course, easily outranges them as well. But yeah, outranging Scalpels. Picking each of those off is 220 value. One-shots, of course. But especially Mace, 400 value. And yet it's one-shot by Phantom. So it's quite easy to make cost against hovers with Phantom. What is your setup looking like? Pretty much just Riot Skirm with that singular Phantom mixed in. Of course, now that the wind is low, only 3%, yeah, your energy eco isn't looking amazing, and of course, because of that, or like through your phantoms and such, yeah, you do need a little bit more energy than you currently have. For now, you still have enough in storage, so with the wind now coming back up, at least you won't be stalling, and your phantoms won't be uncovered, at least not through energy stall. And F. Oh, why did you build a cornea there? That's not exactly a cheap thing to build. And it was almost up. I hope that was just supposed to be a Lotus. But it wasn't. So that cost you. I mean, how much? 490 value lost? Yeah, ouch. Ah, Commander, getting sniped by the Phantom. WTH. Well, simple. Enemy Phantom. Good number of Ronins as well. What's the confusion? That exactly. Also, where are your daggers? Because right now, there is still a single Reaver. Could be annoying. But other than that, yeah, it's all overrun by a dagger. Down south, well, quite good scalpel numbers over here. Couple of daggers as well. So those Ronins shouldn't be able to do too much damage. Single Reaver, once that gets sniped, yeah, it is pretty open for those. Why is Scalpels dying? Because Phantom. Are you playing without sound? But also, Ronin isn't awful against Scalpel. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than Scalpel, so you can just field a good number of them. So even though Scalpel of course kills Ronin, yeah, it's also not fast enough to really dodge Ronin shots. Over here, Phantom is going to get uncovered, but question mark, is it going down? No, it is not going down, at least not yet. And with the Lotus here to defend against the daggers and such, yep, okay, it is staying up. A little lucky, I will say. But hey, sometimes you need a little bit of luck on your side. Commander slowly but surely pushing forward. There is a lot of reclaim on that side, which, well, both teams are trying to get. Of course, with your commander you're able to get that quite quickly. And the commander is of course not exactly as frail as a Quill is. And over here, yep, well, those scalpels are gone. The daggers are gone, and your storage is gone. I don't understand. Well, that doesn't really matter, because you're now going into one of the counters to Cloakbots. It's Phoenix. Phoenix is a bit of a weird matchup against Phantom, since if the Phantom has reloaded and it has vision on the Phoenix, it is great anti-air because it one-shots Phoenix. But it's also like super low HP, so if the Phoenix does get a hit on, the Phantom is almost guaranteed to die. Same with, well, Ronins and such. Those also easily go down to Phoenix. So there it comes. Phoenix dropping bombs onto two whole Ronins that would have been killed anyways. So for now, not doing a lot of damage. Does show your hand. Enemy going straight into airplanes themselves for swifts, for the anti-air. And you're going to the enemy base, going to try to take down either the wind farm or the caretakers. Both make sense. In this case, caretaker is indeed the better choice. I mean, it's almost always the better choice. Go for the build power. And, well, this one is going down. A little bit of AoE. But the other two are seemingly healing each other. So will both indeed stay up. The other Phoenix has already rearmed, so could try to go for another bombing run. And at least for now, the caretaker is not being actively healed up. So it could still work. You could still move in there. Single swift is not going to be enough to take down Phoenix. But of course, defending your front lines also makes sense. Quite a couple of scalpels here. 4 scalpels once again moving in. No defenses, no defenses. Reaver is countered by scalpel. Yeah, no defenses. And they're heavily investing into the Swifts, at least for now. So they don't have the glaive numbers either to take down 4 scalpels. Scalpel with, well, missiles rather than rockets, like your Ronins, are a lot less likely to miss. Not exactly great anti-air though. But still, they can hit. As opposed to Ronin that, well, pretty much never hits airplanes. Just because their missiles, like rockets, don't home and are incredibly slow. So, Swifts are being annoying. Of course they are. And by now you do have enough glaives there to kill at least just those 3 little scalpels. Right. Also, double Hacksaw in defense, so Phoenix are unlikely to do anything in the home base. All the way though, Phoenix also sniped, so that is very nice. Eco over here is going to stay up, build power as well. And I'm a little surprised we haven't really seen lawns yet from Fahx. But I mean, I get it, I kind of get it. It's not that good against cloaks, just because cloaks are relatively easy to spread out. Not that many expensive targets, especially because your enemy is not transitioning into knights or anything. And lances, of course, also snipe by Phantom. So it does make sense. It's just, it's a nice follow-up to Scalpel. Because you can still, with lance, because it's a real burst weapon. So like 1 second burst. So it is still able to kill quite a couple of glaives or a couple of Ronins in a single burst. So it's not just purely single target. Still, glaives moving in, doing a lot of damage. Claymore is out, Rover Factory is out. And Phoenix also coming in once again. Nice little bombing run by the Phoenix, so most of the glaives are gone and all of them are now. Phoenix without any ammo, running forwards, being a menace. Alright, going back home now. That is indeed what it should be doing. And your enemy is currently just mono spamming glaive. I mean, sure, it's not great against Phoenix, but as long as you spread out, like, yeah, 1, maybe 2 glaives go down. Seems like 2 will indeed go down. Maybe 3 even, wow. But yeah, glaives, great DPS. So we'll be cleaning up a couple of Quill over here. Are quite good against Dart. Quite good against Dagger as well, depending on how they engage. Phantom, are you just sitting here, radar wobble, shooting Dead Lotus? You seem to be doing exactly that. Are you really wasting all that time and all that... Yeah, mostly time on just a single radar wobbly Lotus? Okay, yep, you've got... there you go. You do indeed have, like, fire... no, hold state. Hold fire. So you don't fire at radar, but you are aiming at radar, and because of that you're not moving forwards. Alright. That's weird. I feel like that's incredibly weird. Like, either I would expect you to move forwards in order to get in range, or walk the other way. Don't really know why you would just sit there idle. It's like the worst of both worlds, I feel. Still, against Dagger and Dart and Dagger, Badger, Dart, all that, it's not as if that Phantom is really going to do anything. And oh, Hexa does get the Phoenix on the way out, but still, that's quite a couple of wind generators going down. Caretakers will also survive. But still, nice little raid there from Steel Blue. by now, Total Eco is ahead. Hey, it finally found the Lotus. Good job, Phantom. Total Eco is ahead for Steel Blue. Total value by a significant margin. Yeah, so that could be an issue. I mean, Army, they are technically still behind. But economic value, they are slightly ahead. And defensive value a lot, because they just have so much more defense. Over here, just that is already like 1,000 probably ish. I mean, defense value is of course not the most useful normally. I mean, over here as well, another 400. It's not the most useful because it's static, you can't really move it around. And as long as your enemy just ignores it, like this Stinger for instance, yeah, it doesn't really contribute in any significant way. But still, total value ahead by quite a lot. And they could have some nice little overdrive as well, depending on the current wind. They don't have a fusion, like Fahx has. So that energy eco is a lot more stable. And they are also seemingly now going for a bit of a wind farm themselves. Steel Blue though, still expanding. Not really getting a lot of reclaim here. I mean, Conjurer over here is just idle. A lot more reclaim is possible together, and look who is going to do exactly that. Bombing the Cloakbots again. Nice bombing run there from Fahx. But yeah, that is a lot of reclaim. On this side for sure, that Fahx is going to get. And on the other side, it is still possible for Fahx to get quite a lot of it. Commander from Steel Blue is now going to try and get the reclaim. But that reclaim definitely could keep Fahx in the game, at least in terms of the eco. For Army, they're not really struggling anyway, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, in terms of eco, they should really be behind, with Fahx having like significantly more map control. But just through reclaim, they can definitely keep that eco very even, like 63 versus 63 there. So yeah, definitely quite even. Phantom finally going back into the fight. But I mean, there is still not really something you can take down with your Phantom over there. And Fahx on the eastern side with quite a good Panzer numbers. Panzer is also one of those units a bit of a weird matchup with Phoenix. It doesn't really have enough DPS to work as anti-air. But if you have enough of them, they will work as anti-air, because they are relatively fast missiles, homing as well, long range. But also have to stop the fire. So you can't really spread out when the Phoenix comes in. You can either spread out in order to not get this hit as much, or you stand and fight. You can't do both. Over here, Fencer once... oh, not Fencer once again. Phantom once again getting a good shot off, but yeah, those Glazers just barely not able to take that Fencer down. 1.8 HP. And a couple more Cloakbots running into a line of fences and of course going down. I mean, by now 33 fences either constructed or on the field. So yeah, that's a lot. Raptors, of course, not able to fire at fences, so fences definitely good anti-air against those. And holy fences, indeed. I mean, you even managed to sneak one up here. So going to take down a little bit of eco from Steel Blue. But should soon be cleaned up by the Phantom. Also, I feel like Fahx is being a lot more effective with the Phoenix than Steel Blue. So either because Fahx's units are just way better spread out, so the Phoenix are not really able to hit anything. Or just because Fahx is paying more attention to the Phoenix. Not really sure which of the two it is. Might just be a combination of the two as well. I mean, look at it. That's a juicy little grouped up cloak ball. Whereas on the other side, well, yeah, those fences are all spread out. Running away from the Ronins now, or with a kite, if paid attention to. And what's up with the Phantom? Why the question marks on the Phantom? It cleaned up that single fencer, right? Did it not? Phoenix, staying alive. Ooh, could have had a little bit more luck with those fencers. I mean, we're driving around quite a lot, so didn't really hit the Raptors all that much. Oh, is that the thing? The avoid target bad. Or like the... Oh, under 240 cost, really? Oh, that could indeed be bad, because Fencer and all that are like 145. Even like Scalpel is 220. Really now? Minus Stardust, Raptor, Unknown Radar and Armor. Especially Armor I find a very weird one to include in that, but oh well. That's just me, I guess. But like, yeah, 240 is a high threshold for that. Anyways, Steel Blue now with a very nice looking push on the northern side. But look at what has just come in. That's a Crow. That's 4200 value against 0 anti-air from Steel Blue. I mean, technically Reavers are decent-ish kind of anti-air against Crow. I mean, as long as the Crow just skirms the Reavers, it's not that bad for the Reaver doesn't really get damaged by it. But if the Crow just tries to fly on top, over top of the Reavers, then all of a sudden the Reavers with that good DPS are able to do quite a lot of damage. Still, Crow just bombing the group of them and flying away as if nothing ever happened. On the other side though, Grizzly is coming in. Also means that you've got a great mobile anti-air unit, though it is burst, not amazing DPS on it. But still, even the Anglers against Crow is not bad at all. Going for the Gremlins now. Quite a good number already. Though not many. At least not for now. I mean, only 9 of them. Soon. Ravens? Are the Ravens going to try and bomb? I would hope not. Alright, they don't. I mean, it is technically possible. It's just, I didn't really expect them to do it. A little bit surprised that the Raptors are not trying to engage, but maybe they just want to hold on until you've got like a couple of Gremlins close enough, then engage with the Raptors to finish the Crow off when it tries to run away, which it inevitably will. Gremlins not on hold fire, so you're not trying to be especially sneaky. And the Crow flying the other way again. Are you just ghosting your, like, shadowing your Grizzly with the Gremlins? I don't really like that. I mean, over here, that commander is now toast. Even though the Crow is at like 6600 HP. That should simply engage, or like, try to engage with 24 Gremlins. They don't have a lot of DPS each, but like still, 67 times 24, all of a sudden that stacks up a lot. Now you're engaging Raptor v Raptor. At least you seem to be engaging well. Raptor v Raptor is of course a bit weird because they don't shoot all around them. They can only like shoot in front of them. At least mostly shoot in front of them. But still, you don't really want to engage Raptor versus Crow either. Because of how Crow, or like how Raptors engage. They like sit, fly slowly, right on top of the unit, and then like try to turn around. Prime time for the Crow to engage, or at least like try to bomb, because yeah, Crow bombing Raptor is very effective. Still over here, anti-air not available for Steel Blue. Where? Huh? Hold on. 600. Okay, apparently there was something there. Sure thing. But over here, not sure if Fahx saw. Must have. Hold fire. Well, there we go. Crow is gone before it could do anything. Not sure what was on hold fire. I would assume those gremlins were, maybe. But anyway, how are you that rich? Well, look, Fahx, they had like 2/3 or like 3/4 of the map controlled for quite a long time in this match. So that's how. Also, they just invested quite a lot into that entire, whereas you invested into a crow. They've invested like half of what you invested into that crow. So, you're not that much more or less rich than them. And people not gridding mexes. Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be nice. These are, of course, not the most efficient. I mean, it's a yellow grid by now. You're overdriving just 2 little mexes. Decent mexes though, 2.5 each. But still, yeah, grouping at least these 2 isn't that much effort. Yet would increase your overdrive by quite a bit. And yeah, I don't understand, because this is now definitely GG. The cloakbots have won. So how are you this rich? Simple, just have more mexes. More mexes, more money.